They hide the truth in the shadows. It's time to light the way. This is the Fifth Estate.
Greetings, everybody, and welcome. I got to adjust the light here a little bit because the light is kind of there. We go. I think we're almost getting the lighting right in here. We kind of moved a couple things wrong, but I appreciate y'all. Love y'all. All that good stuff. I'm glad you pulled up in here today. Um, and do the things. Trying a different angle here with the lights. I got a couple new lights in here, so I'm trying a couple different angles to see if it's better or not in some regards. If not, I'll change it back. But I kind of like this angle because it gets my best side. Not, you know what I mean. So y'all get it. But anyway, hey, look, I appreciate y'all coming through. I'm gonna get myself centered. I'm gonna get myself centered a little bit here. So don't mind me, peoples. Don't mind me, peoples. But again, hey, I appreciate y'all and all that good stuff. Hopefully you had a good weekend. I'm hoping you had a good weekend. If you didn't, that's a small problem. But hey, we'll deal with that the way it is. Remember, guys, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Share this with your peoples. I don't know why my banner's not showing up over there on the other screen. For the background, but it is what it is at this point. I ain't got none of this freaking Linux box. We know how all that goes. So, but anyway, I hope y'all had a great week and all the good stuff. If you haven't caught the new series on Sunday, Chasing Life, Liberty, and Monarchy, we're talking about the moral compass. The only ethical state is the minimal state, right? So now, if that tickles your fancy, go right on ahead and you subscribe to that over there. Maybe I should bring up um, what we're talking about here on my other screen here. I don't want it to play either. I don't want it to play. Don't play. This is not a mode you need to play. But if you haven't subscribed to it, whatever, or whatever the case may be, it should show up in the presentation. Y'all go on ahead. That's the new series on our Sunday show. The moral compass, why the minimal state is the only ethical state. If you haven't checked it out, make sure you check it out, and make sure you do go ahead and check out the other previous episodes on Sundays. We just finished a series called "The Path to Monarchy." It is a 8-week series, give or take, and then we had a series right before that. Let me see if I can get over there real quick. Called "Implementing Monarchy," and we had a series before that. Um, about what is monarchy. So yeah, definitely. At least if you don't do anything, at least check out the Sunday show. Check out the Tuesday show as always, right? But um, we're talking, solutions over there on the chasing life, liberty, and monarchy. So that's live Sundays at 8 p.m. As you can see on the screen at the top there. It is live at 8 p.m. on Sundays. A little earlier than the normal time during the week, but people got to sleep and go to work. So all that good stuff. So with that being said, we out here. Hope y'all like the new angle. Maybe I need to Vogue or something. I don't know how that's gonna look, but it's better than the camera directly in my face, I think. So I don't know. It is what it is. That's where we're at, and this is how we're gonna work with it for from this point forward. Um, so seeing what we got going on over here. So again, welcome to the Fifth Estate. Hope y'all like the intro. I kind of did some slide things with the intro. Animated the guy was kind of cool. I was kind of proud of myself. I learned to code, people. You know how they told us in 2020, oh well, if you lose your job because of your COVID jab, go and learn how to code. I'm like, I don't know how to code, but I did it. I'm an animated guy. I'm proud of myself. And I hope y'all proud of me too. So, with that, let's go ahead and get this. Let's go ahead and get this little party we got here started. Um, what we change? I changed the format a little bit, y'all, because to make it at least a little bit more engaging, right? Um, because I think personally, if you don't shake it up a little bit, then people get bored with your delivery, things of like that nature. So this is kind of the pilot. I'm not changing my personality, but I'm changing the format on how I deliver the information to you that I have found and all that good stuff. Hopefully it's exciting enough. If not, y'all say, I want the old Rod back. Then you can have the old Rod back, but the old Rod's not leaving. Just the way he speaks is But anyway, whatever. I'm being funny. We're not changing anything. I just wanted to make sure y'all were actually paying attention to what I was saying, which I know you were. I love you. But anyway, enough of the talking and bullshit. I've been doing that for 8 minutes. And I'm just bullshitting with y'all. But anyway, look, it's the 27th of Monday. It's the Monday the 27th, y'all. Right? And the federal government is still frozen like the polar ice caps, right? And now, mind you, right? From my perspective, from what I've kind of read through the chances I've had throughout my days, throughout the week, whatever, it's not about budget talk anymore. Okay, this is a governance crisis. Okay, and I'll tell you why I say that, right? Because I think we're past the point of using fee balances and reserve cash, right? Because when that's dwindled, right? So these Democrats, these Republicans, and all the things in between, because they're all willing combatants and participants in the combat, right? Has grinded our federal machinery to a point, the machine, right? I mean, we're down to the point where the tax courts are closed. Like, this is serious, right? Tax courts are closed. Supreme Court's own building is inaccessible to the public. Paychecks are held by thousands of people, which 99% of those thousands of people shouldn't be working for the government anyway, right? Even the ones that are essential to our security, like the military, like FPS, like ICE, like HSI, right? Those entities, right? Today I want to analyze how not only the executive, the legislative and judicial branches all have the dirt on their hands in this shutdown, right? Now, I know you guys will grant me this feels like a ridiculous failure in basic adult level governance. This should not be normal, right? This is a political addiction, right? To brinkmanship. I think that'd be the proper word, right? And we need to talk about why they keep doing this to us while they get paid, right? It's almost like the bourgeoisie and the proletariat, right? The proletariat, y'all just gonna suffer. You need your food stamp, you need all that, this, that, and the third. Nah, we're gonna play games with you, right? We're gonna play games with you, the American people, while we sit back here and live large, live wide like outside, right? This is what they do, right? So let's talk about what's going on the Hill itself, right? As far as the quote unquote, why can't I expand that space so I can see you guys' comments? Oh, there it is. I couldn't see you guys' comments when I was talking, but now I fixed it so I can see your comments as I'm speaking to you, like over here, right? So let's talk about the source of the rot, right? Congress itself, right? The legislative branch has one job above all others, right? And it's enshrined in the Constitution, right? Power of the purse, right? And on October 20th, 21st, one of those 19th, after the first couple weeks of the shutdown, judiciary funds ran out because Congress failed to pass the CR. Either one of them, either HR 5371 or Senate Bill 2882, right? The failure wasn't just about an arbitrary spending level. It was about poison pills and policy riders, or I like to call them policy dick riders. Let's just call them what they are, right? See, with the Democrats, the push to extend the Affordable Care Act health insurance subsidies that were set to expire at the end of the year is a major sticking point for them. Now, on the Republican side of things, the demands for like rescinding previously appropriated foreign aid and imposing massive and immediate and crazy spending cuts were non-starters, right? So both sides, both Democrats and Republicans alike, and the people that caucus with these two, right, are playing what, in my opinion, is a very high stakes game of chicken. Okay, while American lives are getting wrecked out here on so many levels, right? Think about their priorities a second. While the government is paralyzed, we see these insignificant symbolic bills being introduced, like the disqualifying what was it called? I think it was the Disqualifying Dual Loyalty Act, which demands purity test of the members of Congress. I think I have that PDF. Like, this is serious. These people are crazy. Let me see if I can find it in the thing so I can show y'all, so y'all don't think I'm. Yeah, here it is right here. Nope, that's the Disclosure Act. Here it is right here. Excuse me. I'm gonna find it real quick, and I will show you what the bill is. I had it. It's in my PDFs. I hate when I do that. Here it is. I found it. Here's the bill that they're trying to pass. Right. This is brought up by Randy Fine. Those of you in Florida, Randy Fine, Republican out of Florida 6. Florida 6 is, if I remember correctly, Florida 6 is East Marion County, which those of y'all know Marion County, that's Ocala, Lady Lake, out that way. I was gonna say Coleman, but that's Sumter County. But going out towards Cantina. But anyway, that's Eastern Marion County. That's the Villages. Okay, that is Stonecrest. If you know the area, it's that little pocket in between the Villages, Marion County, and going out a little bit further east of that towards Leesburg. So this is where he's from. He's like literally in my neck of the woods. I can go to his district in literally about 30 minutes, right? So that's how close he is to home for me. He's not my rep, thank God, because I would kind of strangle him across his head. But he introduces this bill literally saying that people, if you hold any type of foreign citizenship, you cannot be elected to Congress. That's basically what it says. I'm trying to find the actual language, but they don't have it posted yet. So, anyways, you get my point. You get my point. And these are the things they're taking up. And granted, I'm not discrediting the bill, right? I'm not discrediting it at all, right? But while we're trying to push legislation like this through committee, we should be worried about um, what these what folks are doing to reopen this government, right? But all this hoopity hoopla, right? All this hoopity hoopla, right? Um, proves that legislative chaos and political posturing are now the primary objectives of both parties, not governing, right? For me, just thinking about this whole scenario, it's very simple for me, right? These two parties willfully, ignorantly act in self sabotage to get political punching points and grandstand rather than actually govern the people. This. There's a whole lot of things to worry about, but you're worried about stuff like this. Now let's. I want to change my focus now to the judiciary. Okay, the this constitutional crisis, right? That we're actually seeing. This was back on the 20th. It wasn't highlighted by the news because obviously it hurts the Democrats in many ways. But you didn't hear about how the federal judiciary, they had sent up the red flag. We've exhausted its fee balances, right? And would enter what would be a limited operations under the Anti Deficiency Act. So, in layman's terms, this actually means, right, that judges will keep working because the Constitution demands it, right? But thousands of court staff are furloughed or working without pay, depending on who they are. And those are the clerks, administrative staff, public defenders, all that good stuff, right? Now, when we talk about the effects, there's a couple bullet points I have here. I kind of want to go through, right? We have the indignant defense crisis, public defenders, right? Because of the funding that goes through the Criminal Justice Act program, which pays court-appointed private attorneys for indignant defendants, right? It ran out a little while ago, right? Now, with the full judiciary budget lapse, defense teams are operating without resources, which forces judges to grant emergency motions for a stay of proceedings in critical criminal cases because these court-appointed private attorneys can't get the resources they need to defend federal defendants, right? And it's kind of like the one people didn't catch, but the one case, what was his name? Labar Sethlekai. Yeah, Labar Sethlekai is his name, right? He is from like Uzbekistan or something like that. But anyway, um, his Sixth Amendment right to counsel is compromised because of this government shutdown, right? So this goes further. Again, this goes further than SNAP benefits or Medicaid, Medicare, or ACA, right? People's constitutional rights are on hold, right? What happened to the right to a speedy trial in Labar's case? Because the government is shut down. They don't have the funding to give the criminal defense to the private attorneys that are court appointed the resources they need, right? Now, the federal district courts themselves are like this individual deciding what's essential, right? And in some cases, while some criminal cases do proceed, civil litigation that is involving the federal government is heavily delayed also, right? And some of the district courts are just extending the deadlines because they don't know when the government's going to open. I mean, just imagine. Let's think about this a minute, right? Even in that regard, let's think about this a minute. All of these immigration cases, right? Immigration is held up. Immigration courts can't operate. They're out of funding too. So you have people that are trying to come in here and do it the right way, right? They're stuck like Chuck, right? They're backed up months out now. And for the people that need to be removed from the country, that's backed up too. Like this has further reaches, right? And this is why I'm kind of bringing all this together, right? Because this shutdown has broader reaches than what the media is telling people in our eyes, right? We can't get these people out the country fast enough if we don't have a federal government that's operational, that's able to do administrative warrants to get these people out, right? Who they're removing now are warrants that have already been out there. And if I go look, I bet you there have not been any new warrants since the government shut down. There have been no new administrative warrants to remove. No final deportation papers have been handed out. Let's look at the Supreme Court and the National Guard, right? This situation, right? Donald Trump asked the Supreme Court to intervene, right, on an order blocking the deployment of the National Guard in Illinois. Y'all remember that, right? Okay, I'm sure you do. Now, mind you, right, the executive, and I'm going to say this out loud so people understand this. The executive branch is constitutionally the weakest and the most financially vulnerable branch in a separation of powers fight, while the judiciary cannot pay its own people. I want you to think about that a second. The Constitution made the executive constitutionally the weakest branch and the most financially vulnerable when it comes to separation of powers. But the judiciary can't even pay its own bills. I want you to think about what that says, right? They stopped funding the judiciary. Well, let me even say the judiciary, wrong word. They stopped funding justice, right? Out of everything I mentioned, the take, right? They stopped funding justice. Congress stopped funding justice, right? This is not a delay of services, right? It's a denial of due process, right? And a profound threat to the rule of law, right? The irony of the executive branch demanding judicial action in a crisis that the legislative branch, right? It's quite galling, isn't it? And again, this is again, I want people to get the wrong mistake that this is a knock against Trump, right? But again, the executive branch is the constitutionally weakest branch of the three. And you got one that can administer justice because of funding, and Congress is holding the purse, which is holding up justice. Again, for the people that need to be, that need to be represented in court, right? public defenders, down to the removal orders for illegals. Congress is holding up justice. The executive branch, all they can do is throw their hands up, but they have to continue, right? They have to continue to try to mitigate this crisis that's been thrown at them, right? So what does Donald Trump do? Just soon after the judiciary runs out of funds they can operate, Donald Trump pulls a slick one. He signs Executive Order 14356. Y'all wonder, hey, what does that do? This executive order ensures continued accountability in federal hiring, right? That particular executive order imposes a government wide freeze on most civilian hiring and mandates new, complex, strategic hiring committees for all agencies, right? This, you know, these are probably the only ways he could get these things in place to hold people accountable, right? Now, I know the other team is going to say, well, the president should be mitigating the crisis and this, that, and the third. And, even going back to when we had the energy crisis, right? Ooh, and Donald Trump was doing good with energy and we were energy independent, this, that, and the third, all that stuff, right? The president doesn't control gas prices, but we're in a crisis with gasoline and all the diesel, right? But as I explained, and if you understand the layout of the Constitution, the executive really has no power. Who's dictating those prices? Congress, right? Oh, well, they'll say, well, Donald Trump's trade deals is affecting that. No. Go look at the laws Congress is passing. I mean, we want to talk about the true meaning of capitalism, right? Capitalism needs regulation to operate, right? Hmm. But as with everything else, the executive branch is literally forced into managing this crisis, right? I mean, how he's handling is how he's handling it, right? But I would literally like start slashing the bureaucracy. Just slash it. Get your machete out and just slash it. You got an opportunity. The courts can't stop you. Slash it, right? Mhm. The executive branch, the weakest branch of the three, is forced to be the father figure over Congress. I wish Donald Trump would invoke the convening of Congress clause. You can't go home. You here all night until y'all get this thing figured out. Y'all out here. Hey, you know what I do too? You know what I do too? Watch this. Even if they send him a clean CR, if they send him anything and they agree to it, look, sorry y'all that are like worried about benefits. I want the government open too. But if I was president of the United States, I wouldn't sign it. I'd let it sit on my desk. This is a question for everybody in the chat. Everybody in the chat. How long does it take for a bill to become a law if the president doesn't sign it? I want your guesses. If I need to type the question in the chat, I will. Did I spell it right for the chat? Oh, darn it. I can't spell. There we go. I corrected. I'm gonna put it in the chat. Put it here for everybody to see. This is the question. How long? How long does it take? Can I pin it? Yeah. I'll pin it on a timer. 1 minute. It's down at the bottom of the screen. How long does it take for a bill to become a law without signature? Uh, there we go. I did it for 3 minutes, but it's come down. You're exactly right, Miss Christie. So I see 180 days. I see 3 months. I see 10 days. Any other choices anybody want to make out there before I reveal the correct answer? Anyone else? I couldn't find my phone to hell. And the government opens. Okay, the answer, um, Marlene and Trish got it. It is 10 days. A bill becomes a law without signature if the president receives it and takes no action. 10 days while Congress is in session. So keep in mind, these are 10 days that the Congress is in session, right? So that is that is that. It's 10 days. And most states are almost the same. Florida, here in Florida, it's 15 days. It is 15 days to sign a bill into law before it becomes law without the signature. Trying to think what other states is shorter. Now, so here's the other caveat. Okay, now it's coming to my head now. Here's the other caveat. If Congress adjourns during the 10-day period, right, that the president has the law, the bill on his desk to sign to become law, it is no. If Congress goes adjourns during that 10-day period, the bill will not become law, right? And instead, it's vetoed. Those of you who have heard of the pocket veto, that's what happens. So if Congress decides, oh, we're just going to take a break on day 9 of they adjourn on day 9 of that 10-day period, that bill is pocket vetoed. Just something for y'all. Yeah, and y'all can look up the legislative process. You can, I think you can find it on congress.gov. You can find it how that works. But yes, there's things called pocket vetoes that happen when you do too much, when you're doing too much extra. But anyway, where did my notes go? Oh my god, my notes just went everywhere, didn't they? There are you guys. So I want to add this to the end since we had a little bit of education time there. Let me take that down off the screen so y'all can see my ugly mug. But anyway, I'm just joking. But anyway, seriously, can a law be passed in a shutdown? A law can be passed during a shutdown. That is correct. The legislative process doesn't stop. Right. The only way the legislative process stops is the end of session, or what's it called? It's called legislative sign die. Um, yeah, legislative sign die is the only other way that a law won't be passed during a shutdown. So with that, I want to be clear about something before we end. Okay. This is a complete and utter institutional failure, right? The legislative branch caused it. The executive branch is forced to do something it's not supposed to do, and the judicial is the casualty in all of this, right? The cost of this shutdown, right, isn't just the $3 billion in deferred economic activity, which was projected by the CBO for a long shutdown. The real cost is the loss of the essential services, right? Which they made mandatory. Mind you, they made these things mandatory. We did it, right? Like SNAP, right? Um, SBA loan applications, right? We're talking about national parks closing or remaining so unstaffed it's almost unsafe in some cases, right? These Democrats and Republicans alike, right, are deliberately self-inflicting a wound that will cost us more than money. And I think many people, especially amongst my conservative friends, they're starting to lose a little bit of faith in the capacity of our government to execute its most basic of functions, right? Now, we the people, and I can say this to my people that are, especially the ones here that listen and the ones here in their chat. See, we have to demand competence over political brinkmanship. Okay. The federal freeze will just keep coming back if we don't. Okay. And the way we stop it, okay, is to hold every single politician from a member of Congress, even up to the president, if we have to, equally accountable for the systematic shutdown. That's what we have to do. I don't care if he's a Democrat, Republican. I think we all flood them all. Well, you're not in their district. I don't care. I don't care if they're not. I'm not a part of their constituency, right? Because at the end of the day, yes, everybody has their districts and they represent the people, right? But when you have these jive turkeys that are deciding to shut the federal government down at will over partisan bullshit, they're shutting down the government because they won't sign the same CR they passed 13 times for a 14th time and come back and negotiate the Obamacare stuff. I'm sorry. No, call all of them. All of them. You all, like everybody hears me say, you all get the smoke. All of it. Just make sure you don't step the wrong way because you might get burnt by the inferno that's standing next to you because you're trying to run from the smoke. With that, I appreciate y'all hanging out this evening and all that good and fun stuff. I want to remind y'all to go ahead and hit the subscribe, hit the like. What are those other things you got to do? Subscribe, like, all that stuff. Yeah, all those good things. Make sure you do that. And if you want to leave a comment, right? If you, as you're looking around your community, things of that nature, let me know what this government shutdown and crisis is costing your community. What are you seeing? What are you impacted by? Because your voice matters in this too. Because again, the federal government decided to dip themselves into our affairs, the people's affairs. So it's only fair that you express your opinion until we get the federal government out of our business, right? So you can leave your comments on the Patreon. You can leave your comments here on the video, et cetera, et cetera. They'll all be read, all that good stuff. Until next time, y'all, remember, come back tomorrow night, experience today, me and Ms. Val. We're going to get it, boogity, boogity, boogity. And you're not going to know what the show's about until I know. And even then, I probably won't know either. But anyway, I love y'all. Appreciate y'all. Remember, love your neighbors, love your family. But ultimately, if you don't love yourself, you can't love anyone or anything else. Until next time, y'all, peace and love.